Hey, this is Laura with Love Your Block, and we are here in my super cute listing, 735 South 12th Street, Unit 101, and we're talking about condos. So, talked to a bunch of people recently and realized that there's a lot of people in the world that don't know how condos work. So we're going to do a little rundown today. Okay, so condos are... Buying a condo and owning a condo is essentially the same as owning an apartment. So when you rent an apartment, you are paying to live in that space, but someone else tells you what you can do. They're there's a lot of control around what you can do to the walls, what you can sort of paint, this, that, and the other. A condo is somewhat similar, but you have complete control of the space. So when you buy a condo, essentially you are buying from the walls in. Some condos include the windows, some don't. Every building's a little different, but essentially you own your space, whatever you have private access to, and everything else, the hallway, stairs, elevators, are called common areas. So those common areas are owned by the Condo Association. And when you buy a condo, you become part of the Condo Association. So essentially there's a piece of private area that you own, and then a piece of public area that is collectively owned and maintained. And here's how that's done. So with a condo, every month you pay what's called a condo fee. And that is a set amount of money that's broken up a couple different ways. So part of it might go towards management fee. If there's a management company that takes care of the building and, gets the snow shoveled and the trash picked up and sort of, if there's a problem, they're going to call the handyman or the roofer or sort of do whatever needs to be done to manage it. So there's the cost of that service. There's the cost of any utilities that might be included with the condo fee. And then there's a really important thing called reserves. There's a certain amount of money that each unit sets aside every month to put into a pot for future projects. So like this building, this is an older building. It is mostly brick. At some point, there's brick and stucco. At some point, there will need to be brick pointing. At some point, there will need to be roof work. There may need to be plumbing work that's done. So the reserve fee is a pot of money that sits there and is under the control of the Condo Association to basically pay for those fixes when they need to be done. If you are considering purchasing a condo, there's a couple things to consider. And condos have become more prevalent in Philadelphia. For a long time, they were just sort of around Rittenhouse, Washington Square Park, Old City had a bunch. Actually, Fairmount has always had a bunch. Sort of at the edge up towards Brewerytown, because that's where the larger buildings were. You need a certain footprint in order to create several residences in one building to have a condo work. I am seeing more condo conversions of smaller buildings. So older sort of brownstones or very large houses being cut up into 2 or 3 units. What you want to think about if you're considering a condo is what amenities are important to you. Do you want a pool? Do you want a gym? Do you want door people? Do you want parking? Because through a condo, you may have access to all of these things. Like this condo here, it's listed at $445, and you get garage parking and, a huge patio and a 10 by 10 storage locker in the basement, which you couldn't get that in a house in this neighborhood for this price. Plus, it's a well-managed association, so they have a big reserve, and they have a management company, so you really don't have to deal with anything. when you get into these smaller buildings that have 2 or 3 units, if there is the push to keep the condo fees low and there isn't a management company, understand you will be doing those things yourself. So, and again, it all comes down to what's important to you. You know, for some people it's like, I don't want to pay a condo fee and have to shovel snow. Or, you know, when there's an issue, I don't want to have to negotiate it with my neighbor without sort of a buffer in between. So, you know, you want to think about what amenities are important to you, what level of care you want to take in the overall structure, and, you know, do the numbers work? Like, are you getting something in a condo situation that you couldn't get in a house, to make sort of the collective ownership piece worth it? In terms of process, when you do go to buy a condo, there is what's called the condo docs. And those are the condominium declaration. Those are the forms that were filed with the city that basically created the Condo Association, and talk about how many people need to be on the board, how many people need to be present to make a decision, yada, yada, yada. Then there's the bylaws. And those are the sort of everyday nitty-gritty regulations that affect the building and the unit. So some pretty standard ones are, you know, you can't rent the unit for less than, you know, 6 months time. They're sort of trying to keep out short-term rentals. Some of them, you know, might have a limit on the number of pets you can have, or the weight of those pets. I do know one building downtown where you have to have carpets. It's an old concrete construction building and the sound reverberates. So every room either has to have wall-to-wall carpeting or a certain percentage of the room covered by a throw rug. So whatever those rules are, you will get to see them. You will get a chance to go over them, and you will get a chance to terminate the agreement of sale if there's anything in there you don't agree with. Another thing is you will get to see the budget. You will get to go over the numbers, and you will get to see how much is in the reserves. This is a really important piece to think through, and even if that's the one bit that sticks with you today, if you are considering buying a condo and you get a chance to see the numbers, you can test, or you can get a sense of the health of the Condo Association by how much money they have in their reserves. And what projects have they done? What projects are they planning? Because here's the thing, if something big happens and there isn't money in the reserves, you're gonna get what's called a special assessment. They're gonna give you a bill, and they're gonna say, the roof is leaking, we need to fix it, you are all collectively responsible, here is how much you owe for that. So you wanna make sure that that money is there and you're not getting the bill for something that either you can't plan for or you didn't know it was coming. So that's a really, really important piece. So that is sort of the quick and dirty on condos. Let me know if you have any questions. We can talk it out. Yeah. And I think you should come by this one because it's super fucking cute.